So we are out of the eclipse portal, but I'm telling you, the eclipse is not over yet. And this week we have a massive astrological shift, which is the move of Neptune, the planet of dreams and soulmates and deception and disappointment and Hollywood and alcohol and drugs and all sorts. Neptune changing signs, moving from Pisces into the sign of Aries, and that will affect you one way or another, no matter what star sign you are. Hello, my gorgeous Mainly Moonology podcast listener. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to this very sacred post-eclipse episode of the Mainly Moonology podcast. Why is it sacred? Well, for one thing, because we have just come out of the eclipse portal, and even though you're probably starting to feel a little bit more human, a little bit less like you're in some kind of like dark and mysterious film of life that, you know, is all a bit weird and strange, because eclipse seasons, eclipse portals can be a bit like that. There's still a lot of stuff to be done regarding the eclipse, and also we have some really major astrology happening this week. So, as you know, this podcast is called the Mainly Moonology podcast, and I call it that because mainly we talk about moonology, but every now and then there's something so massive in the astrology that we just can't ignore it, because at the end of the day, the moonology and the astrology does work together. So we've just moved through a very powerful new moon eclipse, and we are in the waxing cycle post the eclipse. So really, this podcast should come to you as a reminder that the energy is rising, okay? In some ways, the portal is still open, the portal of opportunity and possibility. Even though we've had the last of the eclipses for this season, we are still sort of riding the wave from it. It's time to start moving forwards. The past is over, the past is done, and I hope that you had a chance to tune into my dark moon ceremony and my new moon update on Facebook. They are free. I do them every month because we did some really powerful shedding and some really powerful manifesting. Well, actually, the manifesting was in my members, my Mainly Moonology membership. But we did do a good, solid update free on Facebook as well. I do them every month, so if you missed this month, don't worry. But just know the waxing moon, as the moon begins to wax towards full moon in about 2 weeks' time, we're actually now in the building phase of the lunar cycle. And this is now time to take aligned action. So what does that mean? It means get out there and do what you have to do to achieve your goals. I'm a big fan of the concept of the woo-woo and the work. If you're a regular listener or reader of mine, I'm always talking about the woo-woo and the work. So the woo-woo is, yes, we've been in this mysterious time, because it is quite a mysterious time, and you know, the energies were pretty crazy and stirring things up, and we were meditating and chanting and making affirmations and so on and so forth, and working with goddess energy, which is really beautiful. That's all the woo-woo stuff that I particularly love. But I'm also quite a practical person, and I know that it's the woo and the work. And the work is, okay, you've decided what you want, hopefully you've got clarity, you've made your new moon wishes. Maybe you made new moon wishes under the eclipse, which is super powerful. Some people are scared to make wishes under eclipses. I am not in the least bit scared of that. I've been making wishes under eclipses for more than 20 years now. I just think it's more powerful than ever. Fear of eclipses is really related back to old superstitions back in the day when nobody knew why, you know, when the moon passed over the sun, nobody knew that was going to happen, and suddenly it would go dark in the middle of the day and so on and so forth. So that's all just old-fashioned stuff as far as I'm concerned. Although, you know, it can be a good time to turn inwards. I was talking to someone this week who was saying about, oh, no, you must go inside during an eclipse. You know, that's what they all say. And I was like, well, you can go in, like if they mean go inside because you're going to go inward, great. But you don't have to, like, there's nothing to hide from with an eclipse. All right. Anyway, we are out of the eclipse season. We are now in the post-eclipse waxing phase. So the energy is still there. The energy is still strong. So it's really a time to think about what is it I want to create in my life and what steps do I need to take. All right. This is a really, really big week for that. So I hope if you're a regular listener, you've worked out that it's not just closing your eyes and making wishes, and it's not just trying to be pragmatic. It's a mixture of both. So this week, you want to be thinking about taking aligned action, okay? It's about stepping forward, remembering what you intended at the time of the new moon and starting to gently bring them to life. In my members, we did a big manifesting session. We asked, what can you do in the coming 24 hours? I will tell you what we did because it was quite fun. There's quite a few people in my Mainly Moonology membership who would like to write a book. And there's a few people. And we happened upon one member. I'm sure she won't mind if I say her first name is Elle, short for Eleanor. So Elle wants to write a book, and she was talking, and she's been doing it for years, and she's got all these ideas and blah, blah, blah. So we came up with this thing of, okay, you have to take aligned action. And so her homework was to come up with a title of the book, come up with a title, because when you've got the title, that already is a big start. And then she was going to write the back cover blurb. Okay, so the back cover blurb, so for example, with my Moonology Diary 2025, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, the back cover blurb is what's on the back. So harness the magical momentum of the year ahead, one moon at a time, discover your dreams. Prepare for exciting, changing, uncharted waters in 2025. Energy shifts heading our way, and they're coming this week, actually. So it's like when people read the back, they get an idea. So all the people who said they want to write a book, the challenge is out there for them to put the title and the back cover blurb in our Mainly Moonology membership Facebook group, which is going to be really fun. We're all going to look tomorrow and support each other. And if you're not a member and you would like to be a member, it's a fairly well-priced membership, I would say. I'm pretty sure it's $19.99 American a month, and you get our manifesting meetup, you get all sorts of things. You get chanting, Sanskrit chants to go with the new moon, you get a meditation specifically designed for whatever astrology is happening, you get new moon and full moon info sheets to help you understand where the new moon and the full moon is taking place for you. It's also a wonderful community of amazing people, and if you sign up now, you'll be able to hop on and into the portal and get all the April information, including about all the big astrology that's happening at the moment. So I wanted to give you, dear podcast listener, an affirmation to go with the move of Neptune into Pisces, but also to go with the fact that we are now in the waxing cycle post the new moon, because basically what it is that you make your wishes at the new moon, if you're new to Moonology, and then you do all the work towards making them happen, like, for example, choosing a title for your book and writing the back cover blurb, so you kind of have an idea of what you're doing. And so now is the time to really start moving towards your goals. So it's taking inspired steps. So the affirmation I wanted to give you, and maybe we can do it now. If you would like to do it with me, please do it now. So it's every day I take inspired steps towards my goals. Okay, so let's just say it together. Deep breath in and out. Every day I take inspired steps towards my goals. And we'll do it one more time. Every day I take inspired steps towards my goals. So just say that every morning when you wake up. At least just say it every morning when you wake up for this week, and see if you start to take inspired steps. Again, talking about the neuroscience of how these things work, setting intentions to take inspired steps works the same as new moon intentions, new moon wishes. You will start, if you start to say that every morning, or put it on a post-it note on your bathroom mirror, your brain will start to remind you, oh, I have to do this, and then you will start to take inspired steps towards your goals, and that is when your goals will start to manifest. All right. Okay, sorry, I don't mean to be too sort of bossy, but it's the fact of the matter. Okay, so Cosmic Weather Report, there are big changes ahead, okay? So as we move forward this week, the astrology really is mirroring the big shifts that we can have. So the new moon eclipse was in the sign of Aries. It's the first sign of the zodiac. We all have Aries in our chart somewhere. That's just how astrology works. Even if you don't have any planets there, one of your houses will be ruled by Aries. It could be your love zone or your career zone or your work zone or whatever. So it's a big shift when you get a new moon eclipse in the first sign of the zodiac. It just marks a cosmic reset. It marks the start of a new cycle. But wait, there's more, because we also have some major alignments unfolding this week. And one of the biggest astrological shifts of, I was going to say the year, but I think it would be fair to say of the decade. How's that? That's how big it is. So Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, spirituality, deception, all that, has been in the sign of Pisces since 2011. Okay, so 14 years. 14 years. And in that time, we have seen spirituality explode around the world, haven't we? I'm sure you'll all agree that the world has become much more spiritual in the past 14 years since Neptune, the planet of spirituality, of the numinous, has been in the very spiritual, mystical sign of Pisces. So we've had all that, okay? We've experienced all that, and hopefully you have started to realize the power of aligning with your spiritual side, okay? But now we have Neptune moving into fiery, fearless, spontaneous, somewhat rambunctious Aries, okay? It's a big thing, and it's going to stay until 2039. So the last time Neptune was in Aries was from 1861 to 1875. Okay, I'll just say that again. The last time Neptune was in Aries, where it's moving this week, was from 1861 to 1875. So that period, what did we see then? We saw a lot of global upheaval. We saw revolutions. Now, revolutions is interesting because I don't want to freak anyone out, but Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. Mars is the god of war. And, there can be a bit of infighting when Aries is activated. That said, Aries is the planet of dreams and soulmates and poetry. So, if we get it right as humans, there doesn't have to be confusion and anger and war and revolutions and all that sort of stuff. We saw redefinitions of national identity, which is very interesting at a time with everything that's going on in the world. I don't want to say too much because anytime I say anything even vaguely political, everybody hates me. Doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. And we also saw what you could call the rise of spiritual radicalism, okay? So I did a poll actually on Instagram, and I actually tagged two friends of mine who are astrologers, but I also just got replies as well. And I said, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen as Neptune moves into Aries, don't you think? Because the fact is, number one, none of us were alive in 1875, unless you happen to be a time traveler. None of us were alive last time Neptune was in the sign of Aries. So we don't know what it feels like viscerally in our body. We don't understand, like we can all understand last time, 12 years ago, when Jupiter was last in Gemini, or when Mars was in Cancer or whatever. But with this, nobody's lived through it. Nobody who's alive has lived through it. So we don't have any personal experience. We can look at history, but it's not that illuminating necessarily. And intellectually, Neptune, well, I mean, it can be illuminating. I shouldn't say that, but the world has changed so much. We can say, okay, there's going to be more, struggles with national identity. What does that even mean? There's going to be more revolutions. Okay, maybe there will be. But it kind of goes deeper than that, because I feel like with Neptune, you can come up with these ideas, but Neptune is the planet that's sort of the blue, misty planet. And it's the planet of confusion and deception and smoke and mirrors. I always like to say it's a spectrum. Neptune, of all the planets to me, it's really a spectrum. And at this end on the left, say, you have enlightenment. And the other end of the spectrum, you have lying in the gutter, drunk out of your head or drugged and just staring in the stars and being really confused. It's really a spectrum of altered states and confusion and not sure and not quite true and not quite real. And it, for me at least, I don't know about other people, for me as an astrologer, I find Neptune very hard to predict. So say, for example, when Pluto moved through Capricorn, well, I hadn't lived through that either, because that takes, well over 200 years, 248 years, I think it is, Pluto takes to go around the zodiac. And so obviously I wasn't alive last time Pluto was in Capricorn, but Pluto is such a solid planet that you can just get your head around it. And Capricorn, really easy to understand. So Pluto and Capricorn was really easy kind of to predict. Neptune is just this wafty, elusive thing. It's like, it's the planet that rules Pisces modernly. And, it's just mysterious. And it's, that word chimera, which means fantasy or illusion, Maya, it's all Maya. So I personally think, as much as we can look to history and say, well, this is what happened, I just don't think, for one thing, I don't think there's any guarantees that there'll be repeats, because Neptune isn't like that. Neptune doesn't follow, anything linear. Neptune is just wafty. Anyway, the two astrologers that I asked did agree with me that it is quite hard to predict with Neptune and Aries, for one, because we haven't lived it, and two, because Neptune's so weird. Although one of them did say, yes, but we can look to the past. It's like, yeah, we can look to the past, but it's a bit like trying to, catch a rainbow or something. In fact, Neptune does rule rainbows, which is, there you go. So, okay, so really I think the most important keywords that I was able to come up with for Neptune in Pisces, and I did have a good think about this, I'm going with soulful, because Neptune is very soulful. It's planet that rules Pisces. Pisces is very soulful. Neptune's about dreams and illusions. And in fact, as I'm talking, I can feel the Neptunian energy just sort of going through me. And it's like a bit sleepy, about that half state between waking and sleeping. That's very Neptunian. Soulful action, because Mars rules Aries. Mars is the planet of action. So let's say we're all going to be much more intentional in our spirituality, for example. That is probably one of the best ways to work on this. Sorry to mention my members area again if you're not a member, but please join up, Mainly Moonology membership.com. If you're in the membership, I will be sending you this week a PDF all about Neptune's move into Aries and what that means to you based on your rising sign, so you can stay tuned to that. All right, so what else? Neptune in Aries. Actually, I did an invocation, so let me give you the invocation. All right, let's try that. So let's start by calling in the beautiful goddess Kuan Yin, who I feel so strongly right now. Kuan Yin is actually the goddess associated, or I associate with, the sign of Pisces where Neptune has been. But she's also strongly associated with Neptune itself, because Neptune is such a Piscean planet. Okay, so we're going to call in Kuan Yin, and we're also going to call in the goddess Athena, who's a goddess of war, but also who rules Pisces. Okay, so we call in the energy of Neptune. Athena also rules Aries. So we call in the energy of Neptune as Neptune moves into Aries. Neptune in Aries. Kuan Yin and Athena. Ignite our sacred courage. Ignite our sacred courage. Help us to be more intentional with our spirituality. Help us to be more intentional with our spirituality, and help us to take soulful action. Help us to burn away illusions. Show us how to walk the path of truth with fire in our hearts and grace in our steps. And so it is. So it is. It's such an interesting time. It's such an interesting time. It's something I believe we just have to feel our way into, okay, which we will do together on the podcast, in my members area, on Facebook Lives, and so on and so forth, on my newsletters. I will try and help us to make the most of it, okay? In terms of manifesting, because obviously that's a massive interest of mine, it's very interesting as well because Neptune and Saturn are the two planets, I believe, that are really involved in manifesting. They're really like the woo-woo and the work. Neptune is the woo-woo, Saturn is the work. These two planets are going to be linking up before too long. Lots to say about that a bit further down the track. This week, though, staying on this week, we actually have something you could call almost like a breakthrough portal, because we're going to have Saturn and Uranus sextiling each other. Saturn in Pisces, harmonizing with Uranus in Taurus. It's a really rare alignment that kind of mixes structure and liberation. So it's almost like the more you get your act together, which kind of takes a bit of effort, very Saturnian, the more freedom you can have, you know. Saturn says, build the foundations. And Uranus says, awaken and evolve, okay? So it's really that energy this week. Think about, what are the foundations I need in my life in order to break free from the ties that bind? And, you know, in terms of manifesting, it's really a chance to lock in a change you've been dreaming of, okay? Very Saturn, Uranus, a change you've been dreaming of, something stable, something freeing, something truly now. We are just after the eclipses, that energy is still there. What will make you feel stable but free? Okay, stable but free. And as always, I like to give you a chant. And as we move into this new Neptune cycle and move into the action phase of the waxing moon cycle, it's the perfect time to call in Ganesha, who is the remover of obstacles and also is the lord of beginnings. So I thought what I would do, if you're willing, if you really want to just bring up your intentions to start to lay out a path in front of you that's going to inspire you, okay? You want to start to really be more intentional in your spirituality, intentional in your manifesting, intentional in making your dreams come true, more driven and determined as Neptune moves into Aries, more driven and determined, more fire in your belly to dream the big dreams that Neptune supports. Ganesha is perfect because it means you're willing to start this new cycle, which is also tied in with the new moon eclipse in Aries. So I'm just going to do 3 chants to Ganesha, okay? I know lots of you love the chanting. I hope none of you don't like it because I do it a fair bit, but I'm going to do it now. So here we go. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Just think about the fact that you are determined to start again with envisaging an amazing life for yourself. Very Neptune in Aries. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. We're calling Ganesha to clear the blocks and clear the obstacles as we enjoy the cosmic reset of the eclipse and we start this new Neptune cycle. One more time. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Place your hand on your heart. And say, repeat after me silently or out loud, I am in a new era. I am supported by the divine. I am here to fulfill my life's purpose. All right, so there we go. It's time to walk through that portal. There are more changes coming, but I've given you the big ones for this week. Come back next week. There's more happening. It's such a big time astrologically. It's a time to live consciously. It's a time to manifest consciously and deliberately. It's a time to understand there has been a cosmic reset. This is the start of a new era. We are moving into changing times, and the more of us who make the most of everything we learned during the Neptune in Pisces period and start to get really driven in our spirituality and motivated when it comes to working to be the most enlightened we can possibly be, the more of us that do that, the better the future is going to be. All right, so on that note, I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Have an amazing week. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a review. A 5-star review would be amazing. It helps spread the podcast so that more and more people can hear it. Have a beautiful week. Lots of love.